Okay, please go ahead. Yeah, thank you. If you can highlight that notification at the just besides co-CEO. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much. So thank you for this opportunity. So I'm Dr. Yashaswini. I'm the co-CEO and Chief Product Officer at Mycovation. So today I'm just talking about the journey of Mycovation, how the idea came into conceptualization and how we as a team got on board. So it's a reverse engineering for us, unlike Aditya's journey, which was inspired by his learnings. So we came up with the business idea. We were like, we want to enter into market with something innovative, and that's how our idea was built. And today I'm talking about sustainability unleashed, mycelium-based ingredients as future of food. And Mycovation is a fungal biotechnology startup. We are using mycelium to create novel ingredients using fermentation and AI. These days, everywhere you see AI, I think nothing works without AI. And we are also working on one such concept to deliver ideal and custom solutions in ingredient development. And like everyone, we have a goal. Our mission is to redesign the food that we are consuming and improve the food system with better nutrition and health for the upcoming population in future. So coming back to our journey, so I'm a PhD in biotechnology with a specialization in cancer biology and immunotechnology. It's a high-level science that we were exploring to develop drug targets for treating cancer. So I was working on a DST DBT grant, and it was an Indo-German collaboration grant. And we all know that drug designing and marketing goes through an entirely different process of clinical trials, and it takes a long time for it to enter into the market. And in the meantime, my mother also was suffering from cancer, and that was the period where we realized, okay, we are doing a lot of groundwork in lab. We have a lot of positive molecules that could be helpful, but how are we going to get it into the market? How are we going to make people use it? So this was the trigger wherein I started exploring entrepreneurship or bringing products into the market. And that was also one of the solutions where we used to, or I used to just make a juice out of the plant molecules that we were working out and give it to my mother so that we would try to reduce any suffering she had from the cancer treatment. And food is the medicine is what we realized. And I started exploring into starting something innovative. And that's when a friend of mine introduced me to Shiva, our another co-founder, who is the head of Rinergy. Rinergy is a venture studio, and it was looking for ideas to develop food and feed companies which had a concept of circular economy. These days, climate and circular economy are the two hot words or hot terminologies, and they were looking for ideas and people who were interested in taking up the responsibility. And Rinergy already had two companies under it. One was Urban Tiller. Urban Tiller produces fresh produce and markets it into the community within 8 hours of harvest. So they were promoting about fresh consumption, local production, and such strategy with less waste. And the other company was Feedworks. Feedworks works on black soldier fly based insect protein for feed, that is aquaculture and poultry industry. And they were looking for something that could upcycle waste streams and look into it. And a few years before, during my PhD days, I used to look into mushroom cultivation as one of the hobbies. And I had a small garage setup wherein I used to produce about 20 to 25 kilos of mushrooms on a daily basis. And however, I couldn't pursue it because of my PhD. And that was the link wherein Shiva spoke to me and said, would you be interested in looking at mushrooms as an upcycling product? And we started putting everything in the business format. So business is something that was clear about, and we wanted to validate the business idea as to how much money it could generate, how could we market, and so on. And by the time we realized the interest and our thought about mycelium as one of the product, it was mid-COVID. So there was COVID lockdown and situation like that. Rinergy is a Singaporean company, and two of my co-founders are Singapore, and I was held back in India. And given that, we decided, okay, chalo, wherever we are, we'll just start up. We'll start exploring. And that's how we incubated in CFTRI. We came up with a brief concept, incubated in CFTRI, and we also incubated in Innovate 360 in Singapore. That's the beginning of our journey. So now coming into how we got introduced to the fascinating world of mycelium and the use of it in food production. So at Mycovation, we had a clear idea about how we are going to use mycelium and change the food, be it in terms of improving the taste, texture, and bringing the nutritional perspective or health perspective, and also making the food product more affordable. And we, during our validation studies, understood that mycelium can enhance taste. It has taste receptor modification properties, wherein it can modulate the perception of taste itself. So it can act as a bitter blocking agent. It can bind to the tongue receptors and change the way we perceive the taste. It can improve the sweetness without even addition of sugar. It can increase the umami flavor, that is the taste enhanced flavor that you find it in tomatoes and mushrooms and even some of the meat products. So these were the key characteristics for us to look for when we started exploring the food applications of mycelium. And the next was, how are we going to grow it? So it is a highly customizable ingredient. Today, I'm sure with all the presentation, you will hear three common terms. Mushrooms, mycelium are versatile. They are sustainable, have a lot of environmental impact, and also you will come up with so many ideas, innovative ideas with the use of mushrooms and mycelium in different applications. It's not just food, it's not biomaterials. Hopefully you will come up with ideas to use mushrooms and mycelium in a lot more new concepts. And the whole production system is very easy, simple, because it is a short cycle growing microorganism. So with this idea, we started exploring how are we going to develop a product? What is that we are going to bring into the market? So we all know Southeast Asia is a powerhouse of using mycelium and fermentation for developing food products since centuries. So they have tempes, they have pochi, they have miso, and even in European countries, people have been exploring use of fungi in cheese. So given that we wanted to use upcycled ingredients and try to develop some of these products, but the idea was further more than just bringing products into the market. So these concepts could have several competitors coming into the market. There is no innovation. It is a traditional method, and people have better expertise than us for ages together. So with that, we moved on from this to mycoproteins. So people, I think mycoprotein was the hype back then. And though mycoprotein exploration started in late 1960s, and people identified Fusarium venenatum as a satisfying candidate, which was safe to eat, rich in protein, and palatable. Mycoprotein came into market in 1985, even though like marketed this product for the first time, the acceptance of mycoprotein was not there. Several countries banned mycoprotein, use of mycoprotein in food production. And the interest around mycoprotein started building in mid 2000, that is 2010s, 2014-15, when companies like Mycotechnology, Mycorrhiza, Ecovative started popularizing them. So Mycotechnology is working on mushroom strains, but developing ingredients or products that has high protein bitter blocking ability. Nature Find identified a new strain altogether from Yellowstone National Park, and they took about 8 years to get an approval for production and consumption of this particular strain. It is a fusarium species isolated from Yellowstone National Park. So they have named it as Fusarium yellowstonensis. And Mycorrhiza is a Swedish company which is developing mycoproteins from Neurospora intermedia. So all of them are working with different strains and exploring different applications. And that was when we were put through a question: what are we going to work with? Are we going to work with uh, single cell flagellated fungi, or are we going to work with mushrooms, which has a better acceptability when it comes to fungi education? I think use of fungi even in food, especially in India, is slightly retarded. People are not very familiar with different strains of fungi other than button mushroom and oyster mushrooms for consumption. So this question was resolved when we decided what is the attributes or benefits that we are going to mark. So we realized that it's strain specific attributes. Each strain has a diverse taste, diverse functional molecules, and secondary metabolites that it can produce. Functional properties, depending on what kind of a food product that we are trying to develop, the binding property, the emulsification property, etc., is also decided, and it can take different forms. So people, I think in early 2020s and 2021, when we were exploring the production and strategies, the alternative protein sector was growing. So people were exploring the use of different novel ingredients in different food applications, predominantly to make an alternative to meat. So they wanted ingredients that has different functional properties when binding and improving the texture, improving the flavor profile of the product. So our idea also was to cater to this growing sector of alternative proteins, especially plant-based meat applications. So we decided on what is the deliverable that we are going to give and what are we going to talk about. So we decided upon two factors: that our ingredient is going to be flavor profile, because we were confident about it, as most of the strains have high umami flavors, and better amino acid profile, and smaller peptides, because if you look at the plant-based meat sector, the digestibility factor is poor, and hence people don't shift from consuming animal proteins to plant proteins or plant-based alternatives, because the digestibility is very poor and they don't get adequate nutrition out of this product. So our target was, okay, we are going to make amino acid rich product with smaller peptides, better digestibility, and we are going to use it as a flavor enhancer. And now came the sustainability point, when we had to put circular economy concepts. We had to tell what is that we are going to talk about when we are telling we are going to produce mycelium-based food products. So this table gave us a clarity and clear idea. So people do life cycle analysis to understand the impact of the product or the production process, to understand what is the carbon emission or carbon footprint and the requirement for the process itself. So in this study, we realized that to produce 1 kilo of alternate meat, conventional meat products, to that of mycelium, there is huge resources that gets into: high quantity of water, fodder, land, and the timeline. So to produce 1 kilo of beef or mutton, it takes about 1.5 to 2 years, and you'll have to feed the animal, water them, and give them adequate space to grow. In comparison to that, mycelium was much simpler. So our strains grew in 6 to 10 days and had lower use of resources. So with that, we put down a few strategies of how are we going to produce or propose our idea in sustainability angle. So we knew food companies required sustainability standards and wanted the high quality protein and conservation of resources like water and land, so that they can show the minimal use of resources. and improve the affordability. So if at all we are producing products that is equivalent or more expensive than the conventional products, nobody's going to buy it from us. So with these goals, and there are studies in Europe, I believe that studies similarly should be undertaken in India as well as other Southeast Asian countries as well. The novel future food, including mycelium, they have done the life cycle analysis and understood the use of land, water, and the potential to decrease the global warming. And it says 83% reduction in global warming if at all we start consuming uh, novel future foods. And with that, we did a mapping of what we are going to deliver in terms of sustainability goals. And we focused on 4 sustainability goals out of the 17, that such as zero hunger, good health and well-being, climate action, and responsible consumption and production. With these, we had a clarity of events as to how we are going to talk about our product, what is that we are going to deliver. Now came the challenge. What is the process? Like I mentioned earlier, I come from a different background. It was a transitional journey for me. I used to work with animal cells and different signaling transduction pathways and more laboratory kind of conditions. And now exploring a different mycoprotein or fungi itself was something very new to me. And trust me, last 3 to 4 years back, we had less resources and exchanges happening like this. So there was limited interaction between anybody who was working with fungi. So I had to just look for any source and information that we could get about it. And what inspired us was the Innovator's design here, when they were making their My Bacon product. So we said, okay, why don't we explore solid state fermentation? And it's a general knowledge that mycelium is produced in 2 formats, that is solid state fermentation and submerged fermentation, to achieve scalability. So that's the business tactic, wherein if you don't achieve scalability, then there is no use for you to develop a product. So with these 2 said technologies already in balance, and companies like Enough was building the world's largest facility, we thought, okay, let's start exploring the product development, but we can also use the existing manufacturing facilities and support to develop the product. So we decided to explore both solid state and liquid fermentation. And we laid down a flow chart saying that, okay, we are going to explore biomass fermentation, wherein we have a certain strain. We are going to ferment it on a suitable substrate and use both solid and liquid fermentation. Now the biggest challenge came in terms, because we were exploring what kind of mushroom strains and everything. We already had a small repository of about 25 strains and a host of possible substrates, because anything that is rich in carbohydrates could be an ideal substrate. So we had cereals, pulses, lentils, millets, all of these possible candidates as substrate. What we also did was we tested each strain on a substrate combination, and we got a new set of data which showed us that each strain and substrate combination has a unique properties in terms of taste, in terms of nutritional parameters, in terms of functionality, in terms of application that could be developed. And and it was also a very tedious journey for us, because we didn't have any data sets for mycelium to fall back on. And we just ran through the experiments. We did all these trials, and we decided to develop 2 product lines, that is Mix and Mimic. These are presented as specialty ingredients because our proposition was to use it as an inclusion, not as a main ingredient itself. And the whole process gave us a unique idea of this combination and everything. And we started exploring the application of this permutation combination to develop customized ingredient on a Smart platform, which is an AI platform now, which can get trained with the existing data set and predict what could be the ideal combinations to get the exact ingredient for a end application, be it baked goods, be it cookies, be it plant proteins or plant meat applications, etc. And mix is a range of fermented plant proteins. So they are developed with a combination of mycelium and an edible substance, and offers wide range of possibilities and product for the product developers. And it is natural, minimally processed. Natural because it's a fermentation process. We don't use any additives. There is process optimization, which is a proprietary process wherein we optimize the growth conditions of the mycelium suitable for growing on a given substrate. So there are some modifications that we'll have to be doing, but without adding any synthetic or any additives externally. So the modification is based on the nutritional optimization on the substrate itself. And there is a minimal downstream processing because we'll have to thermal degrade the mycelium, at the same time remove the RNase activity so that the proteins and other nutritional factors are retained. And to extend the shelf life, we'll have to do drying and milling kind of processing. Other than that, there is no processing, and the ingredient is versatile. Depending on these combinations, we can also fit into the conditions of how we are going to improve the functional properties like solubilization, emulsification, and others. And now coming into how we are going to market it, how we are going to talk about our product and sell the product. So we decided to go about with collaboration and co-creation strategy, wherein we had expertise in fermentation and process development, but we wanted to reach out to food manufacturers who could use their resources and existing infrastructure to come out with the final product. And using our ingredients, we developed several products like myco noodles, protein bars, meat, alternative meat products like meatballs, patties, nuggets, etc., and also the extruded analogs along with Bueller. With this, we have two products that is ready to market, and one is the 4 p.m. bar along with Naka Foods, and the second product is a pet treat product developed along with Conscious Creatures. And the idea behind all of this is how to get the product into the market. Unlike the biomaterials or any other applications, food is considered to be a very serious issue, and food safety is considered very regulated. So given that, we'll have to fall into criteria of using right kind of strains, process, and also the end application to be safe for consumption, and has to be regulated and got approved by FSSAI in India as well as SFA in Singapore. So the process is underway that we get approval soon, and this product should be in market anytime in the mid of 2024. And this is our achievement so far. As an idea, as a concept of using mycelium as a food ingredient, we are stated as top 500 food tech companies globally, both in 2021 and 23, that is last year. We are part of a program by Ellen MacArthur Foundation called Big Food Redesign Program. Here we are learning and understanding how we can produce our food for the future applications, starting from the supply chain, that is from the production to its end of the life cycle, to its disposal, including the packaging. So if we are designing a product or developing a product, what are the strategies to employ and how to reduce the impact of our food production is what being learned here. And we are proud to say that we are Asia's only company being part of this program. And we are also the finalists in Mass Challenge Sustainability Program, Switzerland. And we were winners of the Indian Smart Protein Innovation Challenge organized by Good Food Institute. And having said this, we also wanted to explore product development suitable for regional palates. So, for example, we don't want to develop a product in India with the cultural inclusion of Indian taste and market it into other Southeast Asian countries or Europe or US per se. Similarly, the study said that the alternative meat applications were developed in the format of patties. Patties are not conveniently consumed by us Indians. It is, I would say, the fashion food for us or finger food for us. Whereas if you could develop products that could culturally get involved into the country's food custom, it would be better to market the product. Hence, we started exploring the co-development of our ingredient and food product along with other regional partners. So we entered into a K-Startup Grand Challenge program, which helped us incorporate our startup in South Korea and explore with other South Korean food manufacturers. Similarly, we also were part of SpaceF program, which gave us access to Thai market. And we are exploring product development with some of the Thai food manufacturers. And we also won the best poster presentation organized by CFTRI in a 1 week, 1 lab campaign, which was a CSIR initiative. And with all this, the testimony of our achievement is when we raised funds from Seeds Capital and Trendlines. And we are gained a lot of knowledge and information about the ecosystem itself and the use of fungi in food applications by being partner of several of these organizations like Good Food Institute and Fungi Protein Association. And we would like to share our learnings with everybody who is interested to explore mycelium in the food application. And I would be happy to connect with anybody to share my experience and to help and guide you. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and also write to us on mycovation.asia. And we believe that fungi has predated humanity itself, and now it can shine as a sustainable food application developer or production. Thank you for listening, and I'm open for question and answers. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was a wonderful presentation, very energetic, Dr. Yashaswini Balaraju.
Thank you so much.
And you finished around 35 minutes. That means we have some 15 minutes for the discussion. That's also a very good thing because we couldn't give lots of time for our audience for the discussion in previous talks. Thank you for that. My first question would be from me, actually, if you permit. I mean, is industry an interesting place or a good place for hardcore academicians, actually?
It was a tough challenge for me, but an interesting fact. It all is about perseverance and interest. So if you have the core interest in industrialization or in enterprise development, then I think the academic background can be the foundation for that.
Another thing is that the startup space, around 90% people fail and just lose money. So how do you convince yourself you are in the right direction?
No, I think that is a challenging question for anybody for that matter, because it's all about the idea being marketed or sold. So the first criteria is to identify where is the market. Does my product has relevance to the demand, and how are we going to present the product? With that understanding, I think most of us can make through. And I would also believe that startup is a challenging journey because there are not just one layer to it. There are multiple layers in terms of financing, in terms of resource integration, in terms of talent acquisition and everything. So if everything comes in place, I think the journey could be much easier.
Yeah, all the best for your wonderful journey. And we keep sharing your insights with us. Now I let Mr. Sharad Rai to ask you a question. Sharad, please.
Hi, ma'am. Wonderful job. It's frankly an inspiration to watch a company in this space grow this big.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
My question to you is, how is your product placed in terms of other plant-based protein products? Is it cost competitive? Is it more expensive? How is that?
Good question, Sharath. This is a common question that we've been asked through. How is our product different from the plant-based proteins or even mycoprotein itself. So clearly stating our product is mycelium fermented plant proteins. So we don't have high protein content unlike other plant proteins. So it is less expensive. Ours is not mycoprotein. It is not the whole cell protein. It's a mixture of biomass as well as the plant underlying plant-based substrate. The positioning of our product is as a inclusion, as a taste enhancer, as a nutritional enhancer, which can give better digestibility factor and functionality.
Sharad, in between, Sharad, if you could mute yourself, that conversation would have been more clear. Anyway, thanks for that. Thanks for that question, Sharad. Sachin Rajput, please.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can fungi be used as packing material? Because I saw when I came across fruiting bodies of fungi, they are really shock absorbing. They have perforated mycelia. So, can we use it beside food, like packaged material or some? I was even thinking bulletproof vest from fungi. Who knows? Maybe it happened tomorrow.
Absolutely, Sachin. So I think you missed the previous presentation. Aditya shared his experience in developing biomaterials, and mycelium is such a versatile product, I would say, or ingredient, I would say, that has multiple application. So Aditya was sharing his journey with exploring fungi. He said fungi could communicate with us, and we always feel connected to fungi. Uh, I would say the same thing. You ask for it, and fungi can deliver it to you. So why don't you explore, Sachin?
Yeah, thank you. I will.
Yeah.
Person named Chai, Chai. Please ask your question.
Good morning to everyone. Ma'am, your presentation was amazing and it was wonderful. So my question is, as you told, we have to look after for the market price and all. So how can we prevent its decaying, or how can we increase its shelf life? Like until we get our good market price, and how can we transport it from one place to another, like that?
Very basic and a very good question, Chai. So whenever you're developing a process itself, so we don't go into bulk production at once. So we start with exploring at lab level and go into batch level at a smaller quantity. That is where we have to set our process in place. So that is where we also understand the shelf life of the product.
Yeah.
So the process, what is that we need to do in the downstream processing after the exact process is complete, that is after the fermentation process is complete, and what is that we are going to do to extend the shelf life, including packaging. Packaging also can help in the product shelf life and storage conditions. So if we can set forth these processes in place and have a clear idea of what is the duration that it takes for us products to be developed and stored, we can enter into the market and start promoting. Say, for example, if you're looking at probiotic drinks, the shelf life of probiotic drinks is 15 days. So they clearly mention you have to consume it within 15 days.
Yeah.
So likewise, you also establish your supply chain as to how are you going to sell your product, who is going to come and pick up the logistics and deliver it to which part. So these things will have to be put forth in your marketing plan, and that's how you plan for your production also.
So what will be the particular storage conditions or environmental conditions, like physical conditions?
For our product, that is mix, it's a dry flour, it's a dry powder. It has a shelf life of over 8 months. So tended to 1 year, but we keep it at 8 months and at ambient temperature. At cold storage, it can extend the shelf life. And now the packaging materials also come to place. If we are storing it at ambient temperature, we use paper covers or paper packaging material because it has less impact. But if we are storing it in the cold storage, we'll have to think of alternative plastic or repurposable plastic materials.
Okay, ma'am. And you also mentioned that we can grow it under submerged also. So will it be effective for the aquatic life or something like that?
Submerged is in bioreactors, so it doesn't
Okay.
end up anywhere. So you have to build a production system. So you need bioreactors in which you can cultivate mycelium. So
Oh.
submerged format is under that. You'll have to provide adequate nutrition for it to grow. And we did a lot of laboratory to bench trials wherein we could produce up to 5 kilos of the mycelial biomass. But scaling up this line of product is a bit challenging, and it is cost intensive. It requires a lot of investment into the infrastructure. That's why we've held it up at the moment. We've not parked, but we'll explore it if we get suitable partners to scale the production.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're most welcome.
Madam Vijay Chitra, please ask your question. Okay, Risha Pimenta, please.
Yes, ma'am. Very nice presentation. Now, this is a small doubt, but I know for a fact that Fusarium has caused intestinal disturbances and stuff. So, how do you overcome that in this?
Good question. So like I mentioned, it is strain specific attributes. So mycoprotein is always presumed to be isolated from Fusarium species alone. So unlike that, the mycoprotein is the protein isolated from any fungi itself, and the whole biomass and the protein concentration of that. So if you isolate protein, not just extract or make a powder of mushrooms. You have to extract the protein of mushroom, even that becomes a mycoprotein. So now that you know which are the strains and everything, choosing ideal strains which has less health impact is very important. That's the reason we have chosen edible mushroom strains which have a history of safe use.
Okay, thanks. So, how do you overcome the contamination aspect thereof? If you're purifying the
in food industry, contamination is a major threat. So there is no exit rule. We use aseptic laboratory conditions and a food grade lab facility. Any contamination has to be inevitably disposed. So there is no point that you can remediate out of it.
Okay, thank you. All the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Madam Vijay Chitra, please, if you are there.
Yes, ma'am, it is an inspiring story from your side. I have two questions. One is, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So one is, you collaborated with a venture company. Whether that made your journey easy?
I didn't collaborate with venture company. I started with the venture company itself. The idea came through the venture company and we built it on it. So I would say it is easy and a tough journey. Easy because you have access to funds. You can explore and work on it, but challenging because you still have to work with the science and the business aspects. So the businessmen talk about the timeline, the money, and how fast we can get into revenue generation. So they are not worried about how long the process takes. They're not worried about what struggles you have in developing the process and the product. So that is a bit challenging. So now combining, in scientific and academic field, we take a long time to understand a concept, a process deeply, and we take ample time to develop a product. That luxury is not there in a startup or an enterprise setup, and you'll have to show and deliver sooner the better.
Okay, ma'am. My second question is clinical trials. Can you say something or your expertise or how you experience in the clinical trials, and whether this product can be consumed by children?
So let me just put it across. We are not selling our product as a nutraceutical products or a pharmaceutical products. So unlike those products, we don't require clinical trials for ingredient development. All we need is how we use our ingredient, a recipe in a food product. So given that we don't require clinical trials, but we'll have to do the sensory analysis and physical parameter analysis and nutraceutical analysis. So those analysis have been done, And post that, yes, the product can also be consumed by children as well as old people who have problem in digestion.
So whether that is permissible, a compound which doesn't undergo a clinical trial is permissible for food?
Yes, absolutely. It all depends on how we are going to present our product. Our product is not a pharmaceutical product, like I mentioned. It's a food ingredient. So to use a food ingredient, you don't require a clinical trial, Vijaya.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
And all the very best for your
Thank you.
future journey.
Thank you.
Prathamesh, please.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
It was very insightful and interesting session, ma'am. I want to ask one question. Like, you're targeting Indian audience, right? You will target Indian audience. And
Mhm.
Indian people are very deficient in protein.
Mhm.
And the thing is that the most of people not aware about mushrooms, and most of people fear of the mushrooms. So
Yes.
how we will cater this problem to enter this big market in India itself?
Good question, Prathamesh. So I would say we've laid down different marketing strategies for different regions, consumer markets. So for India, the biggest challenge was educating people, creating awareness, and uh, sharing the knowledge of how beneficial fungi mycelium is for one's food consumption, or how beneficial the products developed out of mushrooms or mycelium or fungi is for health. So that is something that I'm seeing is predominantly happening in the last 6 to 7 months in India. Before that, it was less spoken about, but these days there is much awareness. People are interested, and you see, I'm sure the next few presentations will also talk about how these startups are facing it as a challenge to put up their products on the shelf in Indian market.
Ma'am, you're basically using substrate as a pulses and grains for growth of mycelium.
Mhm.
Basically, ma'am, are you explored any low underutilized pulses or grains for production of mycelium? Because ma'am, these pulses and other the main pulses, these are we are required for daily uses. But
Yeah.
some pulses are not we are requiring daily, and some grains are we are not requiring, right?
Absolutely. So we have explored such underutilized utilized grains and cereals as well, Prathamesh. We are also studying the upcycling of the ingredients, that is the low quality, low grade ingredients as substrates. So, and we've seen a great increase in protein content, nutritional parameters. There is a lot of change that happens during the fermentation process itself. So there is a breakdown of complex proteins. There is breakdown of complex fiber into soluble fibers. There is reduction of carbohydrates because the mycelium consumes carbohydrates. And there is inclusion of several micro and macro molecules like vitamins, ergosterols, and other precursor molecules. So all of this is the benefit that comes through the fermentation process itself. So given that, it is easier for us to position our product as well as to tell that it is an ideal candidate for food incorporation.
Great, man. Great. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Afifa Kainat, please ask your question.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, my question is related to Pratimash as he asked, what are the challenges or limitations you faced while associating or incorporating mycelium-based ingredients into main food products, and how you address these challenges?
Challenges is in terms of inclusion level. So we lay down some hypothesis and it doesn't work. So we were assuming that our product could also be high protein ingredient equivalent to a mycoprotein. However, we realized that it was not as high, but ideally high, because our daily requirement is about 8 grams per body weight of protein. So given that our products fall into that ideal category, but not as high as alternative protein products are, given that we had to optimize the characteristics a lot. And the challenge here would also be around the process development. So we have different process conditions for each of the combinations, and maintaining that and bringing in consistency is a little bit challenge, but not impossible.
That's all right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Manjusha K, please.
Hello, ma'am. Wonderful journey.
Thank you so much.
You said started with 25 strains. You had an initial collection. What was the basis of screening out the potent strain, or are you working with multiple strains as of now?
A good question. So the basis of identifying and selecting the strain was only two criteria. The strain should be existing in a repository or should have accession number, because we didn't want to work on a novel strain. The second one is the edibility of the strain. So these were the two criteria that we had to choose the strain. Nevertheless, now that we have our first line of products, we are open to explore newer strains.
Ma'am, like I'm a faculty, so if students are interested in startups, what was your approach to approaching an industry? How open were they to such innovative ideas?
Good question, great question. So the first thing that we'll have to do is lay down the market strategy and identify who our customers are going to be. So since we identified our customers as food and beverage manufacturing entities, so we started reaching out to them. And it is always the reaction for, I would say, action and reaction kind of strategy. These food manufacturers are also looking for ingredients that are natural, that has all the nutritional and health benefits and is affordable. So their criteria is, can you give me an ingredient that fulfills these conditions? So given that we were welcomed by most of the food manufacturers to try our ingredient and run the trials on their product development. And luckily enough, most of the products have shown promising results. So that is how we were able to develop a final product and do the end trials, and the products are ready to for marketing for sales.
What worked better, ma'am, submerged or solid state?
Solid state, easier.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. All the best.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Dr. Mohan Kumar, please.
Ma'am, this is regarding again startup. Now we have Startup India and startup programs, a lot of there. And if anyone wants to, and many startups are coming up, and ultimately, it's also falling down very quickly.
Yeah.
So what is your call on that type of startup and falling down, and why it is happening, and how to sustain for a longer time?
So my learning, I would say, I would like to share my learning and my understanding about the startup culture. There are 3 strategies that anybody have to follow before even incorporating a company or starting a company. Because once you have the incorporation, you fall into a lot of regulatory criteria from any government for that matter. So before you start looking for registration or incorporating a startup, you should have ideal team members. So one solid idea. What is that? You can always pivot. You can always look for newer markets. You can always develop new products. But you should know exactly what is that you are going to present. So if you have that, a team that can support you in any ups and downs through your journey, and financial planning. Because most of the startups are, people feel that it is lucrative, thinking that, okay, I can become my own boss, and they sustain only for short period of time, like 1 year, 2 year. So laying down the financial strategy, you don't have to spend millions together or lakhs together to set up a company. I haven't invested a rupee into this company. All we did is we laid down the strategy. So luckily we got the venture studio backing us, but we also planned to raise funds. And this strategy is something that has to be laid down. And some startups can bootstrap. It depends on how long they are going to sustain with the bootstrapping. And that is the timeline for them to develop a product and enter into the market. The longer, better for deep tech startups, shorter, better for consumable products. So that is my learning by being in the startup.
Mohan Kumar, if you're still there, you have any response? Okay. Anyway, Sachin Rajput, last question from Sachin Rajput.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Ma'am, these fungi basically they act as prebiotic when they go inside our body, right? So, so can we also use it in as prebiotic for agricultural, cattle's and also rhizospheric microbiome and all? So that's
Absolutely. Absolutely possible, because most of the fungi are precursors for other prebiotic microorganisms. And if you go by, there's a new company that has come up in Singapore. It's called Possible. They are using I think this is a question for answering the previous question put forth for the previous speaker as well. They said that mushroom companies are producing a lot of substrate, that is fermented substrate, and they get into composting. And is there any other alternative? This company is working on developing a pet food application using spent mushroom substrates along with mushrooms, that is the stem of these mushrooms. So they're combining these two in different proportions and developing a pet food applications. So you can explore the feed applications using the spent products as well. And they can act as a precursor or a prebiotics for gut microbiota.
Okay.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin.
Final comments from Dr. Rohit Sharma, Managing Editor, Myco India, please.
Thank you, Dr. Shnoy. Thank you, Dr. Yashaswini. Very nice presentation, I think. It will be from the flavor agent. I think your mix is going to rule the future. And congratulations for so many recognitions. I think the kind of questions and kind of appreciation you are getting. And good luck for your future. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.